Hi everyone, in this video I want to talk about the first component that by default is assigned to all the objects that you put in the scene, and also the name of that component is default. But before we continue, as you may already know, by holding MTVT you get the opportunity to enjoy additional reward boosts which will help you earn more in-game tokens. Alright, back to the work and let's go to the builder. Now I'm in the builder and I want to show you something. For example, let's select this pillar object in here, and when I select it, as you can see in the properties and in the components, you can see I will have a default components in my list. And if I select this roof again, you can see I will have default for the roof, and if I select this wall, I will have the default again for the wall. And if I select, for example, this door, you can see the default component is assigned to the door too. And if I go to the model pack and for example let's go to the office starter in here and let's create this 2x2 floor, and let's select the new created floor, and as you can see I will have the default for the new created object in my scene. And no matter what object you are using from what pack, all the objects that you bring in the scene will have default component assigned. And what is default component? Default component consists of some common settings of the objects. Let's open the default to see what we have in here. As you can see, the first thing that we have are the information about the transform of the object, consists of position, rotation, and also the scale. In previous version, when I wanted to move something, when I wanted to rotate something, and when I want to scale something, I use these buttons in here. For example, I use this button to move something and change the position of the object. I use this button to rotate that object, and also I use this button to scale up, scale down or scale up that object. All right, let's move it in here. Okay. What if I want to do that more precisely? For example, I want exactly have the scaling of 1.2 for my object in all direction, and also my object to be rotated in the Y direction exactly 50 degree, and I don't want any rotation in the X axis and also in the Z axis. In these cases, using these buttons to scale up and down by hand or using the rotation is not a good way to set it precisely. And in that case, I should select my object in here, and let's go to the default component in here, and let's change the parameters in here. For example, I want 50 degree exactly in the Y axis, so I will set it to the 50. And also I don't want any rotation in the X axis and also for the Z, so I will set them to the 0. And also I want the scaling of 1.2 in all directions, so I will change it to 1.2. And that's how we can set everything more precisely with the parameters in the default components. And one thing I should mention about the position, that the position is compared to the 000 point of your land, and this is the 000 point. And I should mention that all the grids you can see are 1 by 1 grids in here, and all the numbers you can see is compared to the 000 position of your land. Okay, back again. And the other parameter you can see in the default is the space. And what is the space? All right. For describing this space, let's delete this object, sorry. And also let's select the doors again because I don't want them at the moment, and because I want to create the doors again. And let's go in here, and from the Steam menu, let's go to the doors and let's create a new door object in here, and let's bring it in the front. And I want to rotate my door, so let's rotate it in the Y axis. And now I want to move my door exactly towards the right or towards the left. And for moving that object, I should select this button in here. But when I select this button, you can see the axis of my object changed according to my new rotation. And I haven't the X axis exactly towards the right or towards the left. And when I want to move it exactly towards the left, for example, it's not an easy job with this axis. So I can go to the default in here and use the space, and if you look at that, by default it's in local. Local means that when I rotate my object, my axis direction will be changed according to the new rotation. And if I want this axis direction to be same and remain same according to the word direction, I should change that to the word. So I will select that and select the word, because I want exactly to move them in the right or in the left, and that is the word direction. So I will select the word in here, and as you can see, the now the direction of my axis is not affected by the rotation of my object. And now I can easily move my object towards the left or towards the right. So let's put it in the left side in here, and I think it's okay. And now let's go to the handle position, and for doing this I want to reset my rotation to 0. Alright, let's change the place of that. Okay. Handle position. When you create an object in the scene, by default the place of the handle is in the center of your object, because the handle position is set to the center, and this controls the place of this pivot in here. And the place of the handle controls how the objects rotates or scales, because rotating the object or scaling the object will happen from this point. For example, if I want to rotate my door, you can see the rotation will be done from the center, as you can see. And in some cases, for some object, rotating in the center is a good choice, but for the door example is not a good way, because in real life the door will be rotated in the place of the hinges, which are in one of the corners of the door. And for example, because my door are inside, the hinge will be in here, and I should have the place of the handle in this corner of this object, so that my door can be rotated in a correct way. And for doing that, I should change the handle position from the center. And if you look at that, I will have 3 parameters for that. The center will change the place of the handle position to the center, and when you set it to the pivot, the place of the handle will be set to the place that we have created for our objects. For example, when we exported our object to use it in the builder, we have set the place of the pivot, and when you set the select the pivot in here, the place of the handle will be changed to the place that we have set for our objects. And most of the times when you set it to the pivot, it goes to the correct position, because we tried our best to place the pivot to the correct position. And as you can see in the door, we have put the door in the correct direction, and now the place of the handle is a good place. And when I start to rotate and close the door, you can see it works fine and it's very well. And in some cases, the place of the pivot when we have set, or when be in the center, is not a good choice for you, and you want to set according to what you want. In these cases, you should select the custom in here, and you will have some parameters for the X, Y, and also the Z, and now you can set according to what you want. For example, I want the place of the handle to be more up, so I will change the Y towards the up. And also I want the place of the handle to be a little bit towards the left, so I will change it towards the left in the x-axis. Alright, now as you can see, when I want to rotate this object will be rotated from this place, and it's not a good place for the door. As you can see, it doesn't give you a good result. And this is how you can set your pivot. And most of the time the pivot is a good choice for the objects, because as I told you, we tried our best to set in a good position when we exported our objects in the builder. Alright, I think you have understood all the things about the default component, and I think it's enough for this lesson, and in the next lessons we will go through the other components.